Sean McAdam reminds you today in Mass Live. Title of the article: Opponents are convinced Red Sox are stealing signs. Their response: good. He writes, last Saturday, with the Red Sox in possession of a 7-3 lead in the 7th inning over the Houston Astros, Houston reliever Hector Neris came to the set, proceeded to quite purposely drop the ball on the mound. That resulted in a balk being called, allowing base runner Trevor Story to advance from second to third. Neris then retired the next hitter for the final out of the inning. And this is what everyone remembers. By the way, I wish Nesson didn't cut off as quickly as they did for this, because it was immediate when all this was going down. But as the teams are leaving the field, Red Sox third base coach Kyle Hudson said something in jest as he jogged past Neris. That obviously got an angry reaction from him. Benches come out. They get broken up. According to a source, McAdams says, Hudson said something to the effect of, quote, thanks for the 90 feet, but we didn't have anything in the way of pitch detection from the Neris grip. Right there. So that was just one of a number of incidents so far this year that's led to people thinking that the Red Sox are stealing signs, Milliken.
We now look at it, and I kind of liked how Sean McAdam framed this entire conversation here, where the Red Sox are saying good, because I do believe they are truly in people's head at this point in time.
No question.
I do think a lot of it comes and people start to freak out, because we weren't seeing a ton of this when the Red Sox weren't playing very good. The fact that the offense has been ridiculous for the most part over the last 2 months, I think the Red Sox are running with the idea that Kyle Hudson, even in that spot, was saying, thanks for the free 90 feet. We didn't even have anything on you. Maybe that is the impact here. And if the Red Sox are in other teams' head like this, and partially it's because of Alex Cora's history, keep running with it. But to read in there that there's players now, especially the Phillies players, who did not say anything after that game when Romy Gonzalez went deep, the one thing I'd point to, if you look up Jesus Luzardo and that fan base, they were pointing out him tipping for multiple starts before that. Romy Gonzalez hits the grand slam. Matt McCarthy made the post on Twitter that night.
Well, you see it in the background
Cora,
of the slow motion instant replay there of the grand slam.
Cora
like
Ramon Vasquez, the high five, like we got him, like we caught what he was doing. But you look and you see Luzardo has been tipping. This is a very big issue for him. Chris Bassett specifically mentioning, maybe I'm tipping, maybe they're seeing things. And you look at Alex Cora, who has this history that Terry Francona has mentioned, even when it happened when they played the Reds this year. Cora has noticed that stuff so well, even going back to earlier in his career. I have a hard time believing with how much he's apologized and how hard he's been on the subject that he'd be willing to cross those lines in a significant way again. I think 2021, you saw, we're blurring the lines a little bit. Definitely not to the level where the Astros were, where now the Red Sox were going in the video room and doing that stuff. But I think this is great news for the Red Sox, because teams are coming in, they're scared something's going on, and half the battle is winning it mentally. You've already won it mentally if they're worried on that and they're not worried about the game.
I compare it to the Patriots back in the day, and again, Peyton Manning having conversations in the shower because everyone's nervous that they're right. Like if other organizations are psyched out and taking those steps, then where is your actual focus to it? Milliken, do you read anything into just the success they've had at Fenway Park though recently?
It's an interesting thing, but we talked the Romy Gonzalez thing. That's in Philadelphia. Yeah. Right? Like, that happened out there. Now, the Angels incident, the Chris Bassett incident, Terry Francona and the Reds, that was at Fenway Park, right? Hector Neris at Fenway Park. But if you're talking about the one-time players were really accusing you and it was on the road, I think you kind of look there and you say, well, what is it really? Now, my question would be, if you're so good at finding these things and tipping these things, where has that been the last couple years? I think that's what many people are going to say, where, man, it feels like so many guys are either leveling up or playing above their head in a way that you didn't really expect. Young players having success that you didn't. It's kind of crazy that it's all coming to fruition and you're having all these accusations at the same time. Is that just because the Red Sox are good this year? In the last couple of years, they haven't been as good. You know, they haven't been 12 games over 500 since 21. Maybe. But I think this is a good thing for the Red Sox. And even if they are cheating, don't get caught. That's how I've always been. Do what you got to do to win.
I think it's interesting, though, too. There was a unnamed Red Sox player in here saying that essentially Alex Cora is going to have to live with the fact that this is his reputation moving forward, which is 100%, by the way, justified as well.
Like when you're at school and you know kid steals stuff and your phone went missing, you're like, man, I'm
connect those dots, man. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And sometimes, guess what? You end up being right, and sometimes you end up being wrong. I just think for Cora, like, if he were, like, the amount he's apologized and been willing to bring it up and talk about it and reference it, I don't think he'd ever be willing to go to the lengths he did in Houston. But 21 showed you he was willing to bend it a little bit to make things, or 18, excuse me. He was willing to bend it to make it happen.
Well, no, I think it's a good thing for Cora, by the way, too, because I would think that a guy that essentially had to get booted for a year from Major League Baseball would be on the complete other side and say, I'm not gonna even try to touch that line in terms of this stuff anymore. The fact that he's still willing to go there, I think, is a positive because at least he's maximizing what he actually brings to the table as well. What do you got, Barth?
Yeah, and let's be clear. If you figure out, guy holds his glove this way when he's throwing a fastball, this way when he's throwing a curveball, and you pick that up and you're relaying it, that's not cheating. That's always been a part of baseball. It's always going to be a part of baseball. So whatever they're doing, it's working, and that's just kind of where I'm at. They're good again. I don't need to know how the sausage is made. They're good again. I'm enjoying it. That's kind of
just
where
going to bury your head in the sand when it comes to this stuff. Yeah.
Well, to Milliken's point, I can't imagine it's anything real or egregious because there's no way Cora is going to go back to that.
I could.
But even in 2018, that was before everything had fully come out. And he knew he was probably bending the rules at that time with walk-ins in the video room. We saw 21. 21 happened, and there were no allegations of anything during that playoff run. So you kind of match it up. If Cora got caught in another thing here, and you're talking about a man who has just been so apologetic to the point he brings it up all the time. You can see he knows it kind of stains his legacy. To dip your foot back in, man, that would be a wild move.
It would be a wild move, but Milliken, if you were that concerned about it, are you even going there when it comes to this stuff? If you're a manager?
I think you need to. I think this is a tool in the toolbox. Yeah. Especially if this is what you made your bread and butter during your playing career. You were the guy sitting there talking to a Manny and Ortiz and being like, this is what I see.
Yeah.
This is how we're picking it out. Yeah, pass it along. It's just the execution of it where it's seemingly having this much of an impact and everybody's on board. It hasn't felt like it was to that degree the last couple of years. So the fact that it's hot right now, that's going to get people talking.
I don't think he's going to bring a trash can and a stick into the dugout is basically my point. I can't imagine he'd go back to that because the reality is if they get enough complaints from teams, isn't that exactly where the league's going to look? Aren't they going to go right to him?
Yes.
And, so I can't imagine it's anything that big just because he'd get caught right away. It's just common sense.
Hey, it's clearly in teams' heads. Again, you're giving up a balk just to get them to third base because you're so petrified of the whole thing. What a troll job, by the way, by Kyle Hudson to walk by the pitcher and to walk by Neris and give him that troll. Love that.
If you're guilty, that is a wild move. If you know you're doing something and you're just rubbing it in people's face, to me, seeing Kyle Hudson do that, it's oh no, we're in your head.
Yes.
We're seeing it. We didn't even actually have anything on you, which I don't even truthfully believe. I think they did have something. But I think it's the mental warfare we're talking about. Oh, we don't have anything. We really do have something. We're going to keep you kind of guessing back and forth. But in this story, to say a major league scout who is watching the Red Sox, looking at all these things on film, they're not seeing anything. If they're not seeing anything, I assume the league won't be seeing anything unless you're going to get somebody who's tipping people off to the league, maybe an unhappy player or something like that. That's where I would turn my eyes to, not, other teams crying and complaining about it.
It reminds me of Mike Tomlin and having Zoe in the in the headphones there, right? And being paranoid with that. In the article that came out, I don't remember that, Barth, when they were talking about the video board by CBS Scene at the time and stuff like
everybody
that,
was worried
and the unfair advantages and all this stuff that you were petrified of. And look, there obviously was some stuff going on with the Patriots, but it went to such a level that I think it took away from some of the focus by those visiting teams.
Do you remember the one where, and this wasn't even necessarily the team cheating, I always remember this one. There'd been a run of people finding out where the visiting team was staying and pulling the fire alarm.
Yes.
So I think it was the Steelers or the Texans stayed
the Texans.
They
in
stayed
Waltham, right? Didn't they stay here?
No, they stayed further away from the stadium than they usually would, so they wouldn't have to deal with the fans. But then they were on the bus for an hour and a half.
Stuck in traffic.
And at the start of the game, they clearly still had bus legs. And they were like, well, we had to stay further away. No, you didn't. You didn't have to. You chose to do that. That's one of my favorites.
Yes.